Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Passing the Crown with me, Ashley Peddy. I'm saying my real name this time because I've got somebody else who is actually a cosplayer of somebody that I'm a huge fan of. I don't know whether you can guess who it is that this person is a cosplayer of, but I have the beautiful Sarah Page with me, who is a lifelike model of China from WWE, WWF days. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
That's okay. I keep getting tempted to call you China. Right. You're not going to be offended if I just slip up and call you
I
China.
get called it in my gym because people forget my name and they just yell it at me. I'm like, okay.
That's good then. That's fine. So when I mess up and call you China, I'm not going to feel as bad. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Absolute pleasure. So I met you at For the Love of Wrestling in Manchester. Is that right?
Yep.
About a month or so ago. Absolutely obsessed. Became just, I think I was there and going, oh my God, China's here. Like, even though I know China's passed away, I was like, China's here. And yeah, so I just became obsessed straight away. And yeah, madness.
I remember you because of your t-shirt. I was like, oh my God, your t-shirt's amazing.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not swapping t-shirts with you. It's not going to happen. You'll look better in it than I do. So talk to me a little bit about your China journey and why China.
Okay, so 2022, I was told for a while, you need to cosplay Chyna. You look like Chyna. I'm not big enough. And I got bodybuilding and to a point I was like, maybe I can pull this off. So 2022, I went to, I think it was actually Manchester Comic Con. I was like, I did Chyna. And one of the videographers there took like this 8-second video and it blew up on the internet. I was like, okay.
So you've only been doing China since 2022?
Yeah.
Prior to that, because I mean, you aesthetically look like China. That's the thing. So had you always been told that you bore resemblance to China?
From like 2015, like I had friends going, you should cosplay China. And I'm like, nah, I'm nowhere near big enough because I used to be that skinny little thing. I was like, I can't do that. It will look ridiculous.
Wow. Well, honestly, I think it genuinely blows. I'm wearing a China t-shirt and I still feel like you look more like China than China on my t-shirt, which is just mad. So you talked about the kind of the bodybuilding side of it and getting into training. Did you start training because of China, because you wanted to, because more people were saying like, you should play China?
No, I'd already started like lifting weights by that point. I actually did it originally for a Princess Jasmine cosplay because I wanted abs. So I started lifting the weights. I was like, I need a 6-pack. And then it just kind of continued. So I've been lifting weights for about 5 years.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, I want to bodybuild. I want to compete. So then it got really extreme. Like last year, I walked into my gym. I was like, I want to be a professional bodybuilder.
Wow.
So it kind of went hand in hand with the China thing because getting bigger, obviously it's a bonus for trying to look like China.
Yeah. So when we talk about China, we talk about, China was legendary for so many reasons, and we'll get into that, a little bit later on. But I've seen the TikToks and the videos and the posts on Instagram. I've seen all of this of the outfits, the legendary outfits, may I just say. And the reason why I say that you are so much like China is because of the body shape as well when you're in those outfits. So do you train in a specific way to have a same aesthetic body-wise as China as well?
No, like my personal trainer, she's like, because I'm going into physique in the bodybuilding class. She's bulked me up and she's like, yeah, you've got really big. You're going into physique. I'm like, okay. But she sets me workouts. I do what I'm told. I eat what I'm told. That's how we do it.
How's your discipline levels now? Because I know, well, I've know a few bodybuilders and kind of they talk about the discipline side of it being that's what it is that drives them is sheer discipline. Is that the same with yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's food has become fuel at this point. I want to get my pro card in bodybuilding. So for me, I'm like, food's just food. It's fuel. I want that pro card.
So is that your next goal is to get your pro card?
Yeah.
And how's that looking? How are you going about that?
So it's my first year competing this year. Wow. So I'm like, oh my God, I actually entered my show thing last night. I've signed up to the show. So I was like,
Awesome.
this just got really real.
Yeah.
So we're seeing this year how we do in competition, because obviously being in physique, you're up against women that have been doing it for years. So I'm probably on the smaller side of physique, but we'll see how it goes. Then we'll go back into bulk up where I need to, and just take it as a journey. And hopefully at some point I'll be able to qualify, win, get my pro card. That's my goal. And then maybe one day Olympia.
Wow.
That-
Okay.
Dream big.
Dreaming big though, but that's the only way you're going to get big is by dreaming big. So I have no doubt whatsoever that you look amazing, you look great, you put in the work in, and that's all that can be done with this side of it. So let's talk about the challenges that you have faced, I guess, with the bodybuilding side of it. We spoke off camera a little bit ago about kind of the amazing trolls that we love. We all love a troll. I'm probably am a troll, you know. Sometimes I think to myself, I'm so opinionated, I probably am one, but I try not to upset people that much. But how do you navigate that? And how do you navigate? Because we had a couple of bodybuilders on recently, Nathan Stiles and Phoebe Goodwin, and Phoebe in particular says that as a female in bodybuilding, it is so quick for everyone to go, you look like a man, you look masculine, you look this, and you know, and the truth is you don't. And the truth is that you are committed to your craft and you look great. How do you navigate with those one or two comments?
It's been a fair few. Like, you get the man comments, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, now I've had people say stuff to me in the past, like, I'm happy where I am. I feel so comfortable in my own body, and I feel the best I've ever felt. I'm like, I don't care. What are you doing with your life? I'm striving for something. I don't care. Like, I'll get people in the supermarket and they're like, are you up and down? And I'm like, you do you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with this and the discipline and the bodybuilding side of it, I think there are so many young girls that want to train. There are so many young girls that want to get into the gym and they want to be big. And when I say big, they don't necessarily want to be pro bodybuilders. They don't want to necessarily do that, but they want to train and they want to look good and they want to see their hard work paying off. What advice do you give to those young girls who are a little bit scared because they think that they're going to get those comments as well?
To be honest, in everything you do, it's taken me to like 34 to work this out, because I used to take people's comments to heart a lot. It used to upset me. Everything you do in life, someone's going to have an opinion on it, whether it's good or bad. If it's something that makes you happy, you do it for you. These people, like, do they matter to you? Are they important in your life? No, they're not.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does not matter.
Yes. So the trolls at home that keep saying that I look like a Wish.com Ken doll, I don't. Okay. That's the comment I get all the time. I look like a Wish.com Ken doll. And the one that was, I'm a Wish.com Ken doll that got burnt during shipping. Like, I know, which was quite hard, but yeah, that was tough. So anyway, but yeah, trolls, you know, I think if you just have that ability to just switch those off and listen to the positive comments. And one thing I said with Nathan last time was that it's really easy to have 15 amazing comments, one negative comment, and you're going to forget those 15.
Yeah.
But, you know, we live in a world where you're so secure with who you are and you know who you are. Where does that come from? Where does that sense of security come from in who you are?
It's kind of, since I've been bodybuilding, I'm literally so happy with myself, and I've got such an amazing group of people around me. So like my gym girls, like, I wouldn't get to where I was without them, because they are so supportive. I've got my best friend who's just like, and if I need someone, I'm feeling a bit today, I've got that support around me.
Yeah. So we talk about your support system, which I think is so important to have for anybody, to have a support system. And I think we take support systems for granted.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel that, you know, we can all sit here and go, oh, this is my best mate so-and-so, and this is my friend so-and-so, and we're going out, you know, getting drunk and all of that stuff. But we take the actual support system for granted in these times where you're doing something you love. You're doing something that is your passion, and there are people out there on the internet that are laying into you for no other reason other than they've got nothing to do, and it's jealousy, because they don't have that sense of security and that sense of self-discipline. those are the times when we need to rely on our support systems. And you know, I know who my support system are, and I know that you know who your support system are. How do you separate the friends from your support system, or are they intertwined?
They're one and the same, because my close friends that know me, pretty much know everything about me, is very, very small.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people you cannot trust, but I know the ones I can.
Yeah.
And they've got my back 100%.
Yeah, I think it's so important as well that we realize and normalize having few friends. Normalize that, because so many people feel like you need to have a room full of friends, and that means that you're okay and you're popular. And no, you could have a handful of real friends and be happy because you trust them, they trust you, you know each other. And I think it's so important. So what I want to do is just slip away from the bodybuilding side of things, because I feel slightly fat right now. But I want to kind of move on to a little bit of a more personal thing while we're talking about support systems. Is there anything that you've gone through that you has A, encouraged you to work even harder with your bodybuilding, or B, encouraged you to really lean on your support system even more?
Yeah, so I was dating a NWA wrestler for over a year, and I think a year and 3 months. I think we were together. Last year I went through absolute hell with this man. So abusive, like, people have probably seen my social media post. I had busted lip. It was vile, and I got to the point I did not want to exist. I forgot who I was. And I reached out to my best friend. I'm like, I can't cope with this. I was in America. Like, I was out there by myself. He's like, no, get home. And when I did leave, got home, although he was still harassing me, I had the support there of people trying to bring me, because I was not in a good place when I got back. I was like, I hate this.
Did you love him?
Yeah, I did. Like, he was like the person, like, you know, you get that one person you just fall for, and I forgot who I was in trying to fix him, and he was so narcissistic and abusive and would put me down. I forgot the China thing. I was trying to please him all the time, and nothing was ever good enough, and you're like that little lost puppy. You're trying to please this person that you're so besotted with, and it was never good enough.
What gave you the courage to leave that? Because the truth is, he would never have left that. The only way he would have left that is by meeting somebody else and getting a new victim to, you know, do that stuff too. What gave you the courage to leave?
It was 2 days after Christmas, and I was sat there going, I was having bad thoughts. I was like, I don't want to exist. I was like, what the hell point has this man put me to? I was like, you've forgotten who you are, woman. And I was living literally like stuck in the apartment all the time, didn't know anybody there. And I was like, no, enough. And he was just nasty all the time. He was making, because I was in bulk with bodybuilding, it was the nasty comments with, you're starting to look like a man, you're fat. When I'd sit on the couch, he's like, careful, don't break the couch. I'm like, you evil, evil human being. And on top of that, it was the talking to other women, all this, trying to get his ex back behind my back. Like, it turns out the man had a domestic violence protection order after I spoke to his ex. And she's like, yeah, he's been messaging me. She's like, I'm not interested. But yeah, he was that human being.
So you left, you decided to leave him. What then was the goal for you after leaving him? Did you contemplate getting back with him?
He was harassing me up until about March. He wanted me back. He was in that drawback phase.
March just gone.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The narcissist drawback phase, the love bombing. And I semi fell for it because he decided to FaceTime me one night, and because I wasn't listening to him, taking loads of pills on FaceTime and saying, this is your fault. Wasn't my fault. I called him out for his behaviour and he lost his job.
Yeah.
But don't lay your hands on a woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's his fault. His behaviour is his fault.
Yeah.
And I was semi-drawn back in because you've still got all the feelings and emotions and you're in that state of confusion. And then I was like, you know what? Every time you talk to me and harass me, I don't get anything done. It's not productive. I'm not focusing on me. All he was bringing was negativity. And I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done.
So, what advice do you give girls and guys who are in that position, in those relationships, who are sometimes 5, 6 years down the line and, may have children, may have a wedding ring? So, they have some sort of tie to this person. What advice do you give to those people that are in that position of taking that first step?
As hard as it is, and the amount of love you feel for someone, if they're not treating you as an equal, if you're not a team and you're not working together and they are bringing nothing but negativity and making you question yourself as a person, just leave. It's not worth, like, life is way too short. Like, why spend it miserable? Just have that strength to say, no, I'm doing me.
Okay. So March was a few weeks ago, days ago, even. We're now in April. What steps are you taking now to protect that peace of yours and to protect, it's really easy for us to be like, I'm done. And because I've been through it, I've been through a position where I'm like, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. And then a month or so later, I get drawn back into that. I got drawn back into that, should I say. And it's like, what do you put in place to protect that?
Blocked.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
block button, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Blocked on my phone, blocked on my social media,
Yeah.
done. It was kind of, I'd gone to a concert, like, I didn't answer my phone from like 2 a.m. in the morning. I had a headache, I went to bed. He rings me at 5. Like, he's like, why are you ignoring your phone? He's like, why are you still dressed? I was like, I just fell asleep because I had a headache. It's banging rock music. And he's like, unzip your hoodie. He's thinking I've like gone somewhere and done something with someone. I'm like, dude, I've got my clothes on, unzip my hoodie, shirt under it. He's like, he was getting very nasty. He's like, show me around your hotel room. I was like, do you know what? No, you were just hassle. The one day I wanted to enjoy myself, you're hassling me.
Yeah. So moving on from that, and really not playing that down at all, like downplaying that, because I think people need to hear that. They really, really do. And I think there are girls in your position that have been in your position and still in your position that just need to hear that it does get better.
It really does.
Yeah.
Like, you can even see it when you're not happy. You can see it in your face. Like, I'll compare pictures of me from like December to now, and I'm like, wow, you are not happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I hope that this, even just one person that hears this and just says, do you know what, that's me, that's what I am, because I think we convince ourselves so much that we love this person and that this person is our rock and our world, and that if this person leaves me, I've got nothing and I'm worth nothing. And we spend more time convincing ourselves that we're not worthy than we actually spend realizing we're not in love with this person.
Yeah.
And that's a really, really fine line there. And it's a line between you going, I walk out of this relationship that what I now need to think is he's going to meet somebody else. He's going to fall in love with somebody else. He's going to be with somebody else. And I'm not going to be, because no one's going to put up with me. Like you said, no one's going to want me. No one's going to want anything to do with me. And that's like another 2-3 months of you still staying there and staying in that relationship. And the courage comes from what I found. The courage comes from you just going, so what if I end up on my own? I would rather be alone than be in this sort of toxic, horrible environment with somebody that genuinely doesn't love me.
Yeah.
No matter how much I try to make this person love me, they're not going to love me. And it's not down to you. It's not down to me. It's not down to us to fix that person. It's down to themselves. But I'm glad that you are the other side of it. And I'm glad that you've been able to speak about it, and people can see that, and people be able to listen to this and really want to make a change.
I mean, I was very open about it on my social media when it was all happening, when I came back from America in January, just because I was going to call out his behavior, because nobody should be doing that to anybody. And B, it helped people. I had messages from people and I was like, you know what? I'm always going to be open about my experiences, because if it helps one person, my job's done.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all we can do. And ultimately, as harsh as this sounds, it's down to that person.
Yeah.
It's down to them. You know, you can have as much friends and support there as possible, but you are going to have to be on your own at some point. And until you are comfortable with being on your own, you're going to stay in that
Oh, for
relationship.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And there is no escaping that. And what I found amazing is your transformation into what you are now and to who you are now. You know, you are widely recognized, probably, and I can say this actually because I can, because I don't care. Right? Probably the best China cosplay look-alike, real life China that I have ever seen in my life, ever. And I've been to enough Comic Cons and enough wrestling events to see people dress up and to see people do that, but I have never had to like triple look at someone and go, if it wasn't for China being no longer with us, I would have swore blind it was her. So, you know, and I think the transformation now and where we're at. So let's talk a little bit more about China then. So talk to me for your love of China. What is it about China that you loved?
She's just iconic. Like, there's this woman in wrestling, and she's not the skinny, pretty, like, no disrespect to female
Skinny,
wrestlers,
pretty
but
people. Non-taken.
she's this big, strong woman that was taking on men and doing what men can do. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this woman is something else.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you first start watching wrestling? And
So I was late to the show.
okay.
So I started watching wrestling with my ex-husband in 2015.
Okay.
And then people started saying the China likeness. I was like, who? And I'm like, right, I'm going to look this up. And I was like, wow, this woman's mind blowing.
Absolutely. So I grew up, I wasn't late to the party, I was very early to the party. So I grew up in a wrestling household, wrestling fan household. And it was huge in the 90s, as you know. Like the Attitude Era was like the biggest thing on TV. And I had two older brothers and they were obsessed with it, and I became really obsessed with it, which is mad, more so than them. I think our household was either football or wrestling, and I was like 100% wrestling, like 100%. So I remember China from the very early days when she was still very actively in WWF at the time. And very much like you, I remember seeing this bulldozer of a woman, this absolute powerhouse of a woman that would go toe to toe with Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Kane, Triple H, go toe to toe with these huge names and be a household name in herself in that. A question for you is, so what I saw growing up was a transition of China. I saw her transition from a very, very muscly bodybuilder looking woman to a much more slimmer framed, still very big, still in absolute better shape than the majority of the women. Which kind of did you prefer her looking like?
The kind of in between where she was still muscly and not so slimmed out. She still had that definition there going on.
So this is why it makes sense now of the outfits that you do, because they're in that era, aren't they? They were in that very much that era of going not quite just the bulk, but not the very slimmed down version. So it makes sense now with that. So China moments. Give me your best China moment.
Well, it's got to be when she won the Intercontinental belt, hasn't it? Because
Yeah.
that's just like...
Yeah. Something that no woman has done since, no woman had done before. So do you think that they should bring the intergender side of things back to WWE?
I think they should. Because, like, why should women wrestle women?
Yeah.
Like, in training, I'm training with guys.
Yeah.
And guys don't... It's actually more fun to wrestle guys. They don't hold back.
Yeah. You're a huge China fan, and I am a China fan, as you can see. However, I was a huge Trish Stratus fan, right? Anyone that knows me knows that I was a huge Trish Stratus fan, and posters were all across my wall, which confused my mum and my brothers massively. But I was just a huge fan of her, and she said the same thing. She said that training with guys helped her to get to where she was, and she was, I think, one of two women that, you know, trained, and it was all men, and I get it now, where I think we live in a world where we want to see the likes of Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. We want to see them tearing it up with men.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to do that. So petition to start intergender wrestling all over again. But I just don't think it'll happen.
No, it's not the same as the Attitude Era, is it? It's like, it's very...
We've lived through the golden era of wrestling, and unfortunately, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan anymore of wrestling. Well, I am. That's a lie. I'm not the biggest fan of WWE, so I will still always go back and watch the Attitude Era on the network.
Same.
I will just go back and watch it. And I'll tell you what I've started to do recently. So I started from the 1st of January 2000, and I have started watching each week of that on it. So I started watching Raw and then SmackDown, and then Raw, then SmackDown, and then we get to the pay-per-view. And I'm currently just after WrestleMania 2000, and I've watched it consistently of that. And it's taken me back to like this childhood of being like obsessed with it again. And I'm still laughing at like, you know, Stephanie McMahon being the ultimate bitch. I can just, you know, living through that era. Do you want to be a wrestler?
Yes.
Fantastic. I was so excited to hear you say that. I was so excited. And I'd seen some of your posts that you're back in training again. Talk to me about how your training's going and what the goal is for that.
So I was training before, like I'm beginner's training. So like, I'm not great. Like I mess up all the time. So I had a big break because of the situation that was going on, and I've gone back into it. So beginners, hopefully, like I'll have to take a break while my bodybuilding shows are on because low body fat, and I will probably really injure myself, and then I'm really going to push it.
Yeah. But where do you want to end up? Do you want to end up in WWE, AEW, Impact, TNA?
Anywhere would be amazing, but honestly, I quite like what AEW are doing right now. Like I watch AEW more than I do WWE.
Yeah. Would you the dream to end up in AEW?
That would be amazing.
Question: dream opponent in the dream match. So not just the opponent. What match are you facing this opponent in?
I have no idea.
Now, you know, you sat at home and you've thought about this. You know, you've got, oh, yeah, I can see myself taking on Queen Charmel. Just someone.
Well, everyone keeps saying you should take on Rhea Ripley, so maybe.
Yeah. I think you tear it up with Bianca Belair. I think that would be a real good, good match. Yeah. No disqualifications, street fight, just
dirty.
Yeah, just be able to brute strength against each other. So I'm really excited to see what happens next as far as the wrestling's concerned of it and that side of it. So I want to talk a little bit more about your bodybuilding and your training and the discipline that goes into it. So talk to me about your routine.
So I go to the gym 6 days a week, 2.5 hours a day. So with that is cardio, lifting weights. So it's a split. So I work chest, back, shoulders and arms and legs twice a week. I'm having to really work my glute ham tie-in at the minute. It's the most stubborn muscle to get to pop, and it really hurts to work.
So you still see your training is the most important thing of a bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Then you're wrestling next to that.
Yeah.
How are you going to combine the two?
I'm one of these people that has to stay busy all the time. So I just go. I'm like, I'll go to wrestling training on my rest days. I'm like, I really should be resting, but I want to wrestle.
Where do you train?
I go to House of Pain in Nottingham at the minute.
Awesome. Have they had any big names go through there?
I'm not sure. I used to go training at WAW, which is Soraya's family.
Oh, right. Okay.
Paige from WWE.
Yeah.
I will go back down there at some point, but it's like a whole weekend and I can't sacrifice training days at the minute to do that.
Right. Makes sense. Who has been the biggest... So I've seen basically on your social media, funnily enough, I'll tell you a story. So I don't have X, the editor, the sound man, right, gets really annoyed because I don't have X, right? But I saw what was trending was a picture of X-Pac and yourself was trending on X, formerly known as Twitter. And it was like mad because everyone was like mind blown by it. I know you're a huge Fozzy fan as well, a huge Chris Jericho fan. I know that he knows who you are as well. What's been your biggest starstruck moment?
Chris Jericho.
I thought you were going to say
It's like
that.
he was who I felt like when 2015, it was Chris Jericho on WWE. Like I would like Chris Jericho since I started watching wrestling. So for me, that was just like, I was just like, all day.
And he recognises you. He knows you. He knows exactly who you are. And I think there's no greater feeling than that, is there? Reel some names off to me. Who have you met?
Trish Stratus.
Awesome.
She kind of ran. She was at Birmingham Comic Con, and I just
Okay.
walked past the desk. She like ran out at me yelling Chyna. I was like, Trish Stratus is running at me.
Now that's when I would have died. That would have been game over for me.
But she was so nice. Like we did a photo kind of facing off, and then we were just chatting wrestling and that. She was so nice.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho, X-Pac, Ronnie Coleman from the bodybuilding world, Mr. Olympia,
Okay.
8 times. He actually came to my gym and was doing a signing event.
Awesome.
That was pretty cool. So yeah,
Fantastic. Is there anyone you've not met yet that you want to meet?
Billy Gunn.
Really? So I went for the Love of Wrestling in Liverpool a couple of years ago. That was my first Love of Wrestling event. And he was there, and so was Road Dogg. He's in great shape. He looks fantastic for, I wouldn't say he's aged, and I feel really bad at age shaming someone, but he looks fantastic still. Like, yeah, I can see that. So he's the one. He's on the list.
I'd like to meet Mick Foley as well. I keep missing him at Comic Cons. He just seems like such a nice bloke, and I'm like, I keep missing him at every Comic Con. They've got him over at Scotland. I'm like, guess I'm taking a road trip.
Do you find that people so you go to these events, and do you find that the wrestlers that are there like really do gravitate towards you because they're like so fascinated with the fact that you look so much like Chyna as well?
I mean, I've had like the people I've met, they're like, oh my God, the resemblance. And I'm like, thanks.
Yeah, it is. I feel I want a DX reunion with you there.
Do you know what's even funnier? I've got a friend who's a personal trainer who I talk to in America, and he looks like an older version of, like, you know, when Triple H is wrestling with the beard?
Yeah.
Exact. I'm like, oh, I need you to come to a Comic Con.
Right. So anybody out there that is a cosplayer of anybody in DX, and I mean the good ones, no offense to the ones that just want to wear a pair of pants in public, but the good ones, we've got to set this up. We've got to set up a DX reunion, and we've got to get the ultimate photo shoot. You've got to get a tank. You've got to turn up at a warehouse somewhere. You've just got to be absolute nightmares. But I think that would be amazing. I think.
Can you imagine that, rocking up in a tank to Comic Con?
That would just be, and I saw that you had a bigger queue than some people for the Love of Wrestling event. You had a bigger queue of people wanted to take pictures of you. I had to wait to take a picture with you. It's like there are actually people queuing here. So that's a huge thing.
Yeah, it's just mad to me. Like, I like talking to people anyway, so I think I'd just chat to people. I'm a natterbox, I'll talk to anyone. But yeah, the photos kind of went mad. It took us ages to kind of move anywhere. And because me and my friends are silly, like we mess about anyway, and people just catch us messing about. Like we found these shrimp cubes in the hotel. We were just launching them at each other. I was like, we really need to behave.
Proper DX, just wrecking the hotel room. Okay, so we've talked about your people you want to meet, people that you have met. How do you feel when people meet you and they get a little bit emotional and they get a little bit kind of like, oh my God, for so many reasons, and not just the Chyna thing. It may be because you have been so honest and open and transparent on social media, and they just want to thank you. How does that make you feel?
It just takes me aback, really. I'm just like, wow, okay. Like I'm a nobody. I'm a girl that dresses up and like Chyna and does cosplay. I'm a huge nerd, and like it is really humbling when people are like that, because it's just a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Like I've been brought up in a way, be nice to people or treat them how you want to be treated. So it's very,
yeah,
it's just a humbling feeling, really. Like,
fantastic. So we'll talk about we spoke about discipline, and we spoke about your discipline in bodybuilding, and we spoke about your discipline with the eating side of things. That is a huge thing in obviously bodybuilding. Hence the reason I can't become a bodybuilder, right? Because me and food, love, right? But me and the wrong food, love. I want to touch on something a little bit more personal, if we can get the words out, a little bit more personal. I want to talk about eating disorders. I know that you've been quite honest and open about having an eating disorder. Talk to me a little bit about that, how it started. And
I can tell you exactly how it started. So my dad, when I was 21, he came down very quickly with cancer. So I was looking after him, and he died within 2 weeks. lung cancer, stomach cancer, and a brain tumor. It was me that was sat with him when he died. So I just kind of didn't eat much, and people were like, I remember just seeing the image of him actually, just like went from this big man to almost like an Auschwitz camp.
Wow.
Look, it was bad. But then because obviously the grief, you don't really eat right. And then people going, oh, you're looking really good. You've lost weight. And something triggered in my head. And it was mixed with the grief of losing my dad, because we'd just it wasn't the best relationship growing up, but we just kind of got that father-daughter relationship going. Then he goes. And it's something triggered in my head, and I stopped eating. And I got really bad. I was down to 6.5 stone, so under 100 pounds. And I was basically told one day, like, you're going on potassium tablets, you're a heart attack risk. If it doesn't go up, you're going in hospital. I've been through eating disorder clinics, trying to get me to eat. It switched from anorexia to bulimia. So I got to a point where I'm making myself throw up 3-4 times a day, because in my head, I wasn't good enough. And that kind of pressure, almost like, as a woman, you have to look perfect and slim, and this distorted image in your mind of what's perfect. And I was in that for, God, about 10 years.
Wow. Wow. How close to death were you?
It was the heart attack risk. I'm like 5'5". I'm a big girl anyway, like naturally. And 5'5" at probably 96 pounds at my worst. That was kind of scary when they're told you could have a heart attack at any moment.
So I want to push a little bit deeper on it, because I can relate to the domestic abuse situation. The eating disorder situation and illness is something that I know little about, and I've always wondered how easy it is to fall into that. Is it that easy to fall into something like that?
Very easy. Like, if you've got that much of a low, it stems from a very low self-worth, and it's almost because I can't control anything in my life. I was controlling food. So like anything people used, like alcohol, drugs, that kind of thing, my control was my food. And that's how I felt my power when everything else had just gone to bits.
Yeah. And what happens then? How does an eating disorder, how does it become from you skipping a few meals to you consciously not eating?
You start seeing the weight loss, I guess, and you just get so in your head about losing weight, and then you start getting terrified of food. Like, I wouldn't eat anything other than, like, at my worst, black coffee and an apple in a day. Like, it was bad. And I was terrified to eat anything other than like salad or apples or stuff like that. Like, it got to a point, we went out for my mum's birthday and I couldn't get a salad on the menu. And I sat in that restaurant and cried my eyes out. And I was freaking out, and I was genuinely having a panic attack.
Did you want to be thin, or did you want to punish yourself?
I'd say it was a mix of both. Like, just my head at that point in my life, it was not good. I really wasn't ready to lose my dad. No one's ever ready to lose their parents, but I wasn't ready to deal with that. And the mental image I was the one that was sat with him when he passed. It was me on my own. So that mental image kind of sits with you. It's a hard thing to get over.
Yeah. So then you say that you went to clinics. What were they like?
To be honest, I didn't find it helpful for myself, just because I'm a very black and white thinker. So they'd get you to do kind of imagine yourself in 5 years kind of things. And I'm like, I could be hit by a bus tomorrow. Yeah. It doesn't compute in my head.
Yeah.
So for me personally, and they kind of like would try and force you to eat meals. And I'm like, I'll eat it. I'm going in that bathroom in 5 minutes. Like, in my head at that point in time, I wasn't willing to take on anything that they were saying.
Do you stay at clinics? Is that what it is? Do they stay there, or what is it that happens?
No, they kind of just didn't bother with me because I didn't turn up. I was like, this is pointless.
Wow. Do you feel in your experience that there's enough support for people with eating disorders?
There really isn't. It's so hard. You have to wait months and months and months for any kind of mental health or eating disorder. Like, in it's months, and this is someone's life. if you don't click with like the counselor you're with or something, or they're very like, that makes all the difference.
Yeah. You know, we mentioned it before, didn't we, about having trust in people and the support system, and that person, that counsellor, that therapist needs to be 100%
Oh yeah, for sure.
the right person. So 10 years of you going through that illness. Talk to me about the end of it then. What changed? What happened?
Me personally, I got out of it myself.
How?
In my head, I wanted to build muscle, and something clicked in my head. Well, you're working out, so you need to eat more to build muscle. And I was very slim in 2022. Like, I was still kind of under eating a little bit for what I was doing, but like bodybuilding wise, but I was putting on muscle and stuff. For me, in my head, lifting weights, it clicked. That was allowed me to not feel so guilty about eating things that were not my safe foods and stuff like that. And I've got to a point now, like, I'm like, yeah, we're going out for a meal, I'm eating that.
Yeah.
Like, I have no, like, to the girl that used to cry in restaurants, just where I'm like, yeah, I'm having that and I'm having that and I'm having dessert. Like, when I'm in bulk, obviously, I can't at the minute.
So you feel like now you've got a healthy relationship with food?
Yeah.
Do you ever worry that it could go back that way, where it's unhealthy?
I don't think so, because my life is throwing weights around.
Yeah.
I just love it. Like, I found my place that I love, and obviously with the wrestling and stuff, I found that place in my life that I love something so much.
It's your escapism.
Yeah.
So the reason I asked that is we touched on it briefly before, about the trolls and about these people that make these comments. You as a bodybuilder is one thing. You as a Chyna cosplay is a completely another thing. And the outfits are I think they're amazing, but they're very revealing, and they're they highlight your body. Do you feel a sense of pressure in that respect to kind of always look fantastic? Or is there a point where you go, I enjoy cosplaying as Chyna, but if I ever became unhealthy for me and I become fixated with trying to be the perfect version of Chyna in this body, you could stop?
Yeah, because like when I go back into bulk, I'm going to be a chunky little thing. Like,
Yeah.
So it's not going to be like always like stripped down. I'm in the minute I'm in a cut, so everything's starting to show. So I'm like, okay, this is great right now. I'm going back into a bulk. I'm growing these legs. So like,
Yeah.
you can all deal with chunky me.
I love that, and I love that there's that sense of realism there, because I think anybody that has been through any sort of body dysmorphia, any sort of eating disorder, anything that affects you outwardly where you can't hide it, I think it's very, very easy for people to slip back into that. But there's a self-awareness with you that you say, yeah, I have been through that, and I spent a decade going through that, but now I'm in a position where I can just say, stop. This isn't good for me. This isn't what I need to be doing. This isn't what I want to be doing. I think you've got that balance there. And I think that a lot of people, it takes longer than 10 years. It takes a long time for them to get to a point where they can just step out and go, I look good and I'm happy with how I look. I'm having an off day, but it's all right for me to have an off day. It doesn't mean that I need to go and stop eating. It doesn't mean that I need to, relapse in any way, shape or form. And I think that that's a huge thing. And especially with your career, I think that's what I keep thinking about is your career in bodybuilding, especially when you'll step on stage and you'll do the pro side of it in the bikinis, in the small stuff, and you're with other women. And when I spoke to Phoebe about that, Phoebe Goodwin said that it's about knowing how much work I've put into where I am now. And it's not about thinking, has she put in more work than me? Has she put in more work? Does she look better than me? Of course, you're going to compare yourself to people. It's just a natural issue. It's your field. That's what you're going to do. But I think you need to, as you do, you need to just go, but I know how much work I'm putting in. I think that's a huge, huge thing there.
The only person you're in competition with is yourself. If you know you've done the best you can, that's what you need to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. Relationship-wise, We've talked about your relationship with your horrendous, narcissistic, abusive, knob head of an ex. We've talked about your relationship with yourself. Relationship moving forward. I'm not very anytime soon because it's still very fresh. But like, are you open to that? Having a relationship?
I mean, it's going to take a lot for some man to come up and disturb my peace. And it's going to be a lot to deal with someone that's like, I know my social media is probably a lot to deal with. Bodybuilding's a lot to deal with because obviously you get down further and further into cut.
So I want to talk about relationship. We've spoken about your previous relationship with your horrendous ex. That I don't want to give him any more time at all. We've spoken about the relationship with yourself. What about a relationship moving forward? What does that look like, if any?
I mean, it's going to take a lot for a man to come up and disturb my peace. I'm quite happy doing what I want to do when I want to do it. I'm not going to be told what to do.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot. I know a lot of people, they can't differentiate between Chyna and me. So I'm kind of actually terrified to date again. I'm like, is it the Chyna thing or is it me? Like, and taking on a bodybuilder that's got a social media following is a lot because jealousy creeps in with the social media and bodybuilding. When I'm in a cut, I'm going to be hangry. Like, it starts now. Like, it's going to get extreme.
Yeah.
Someone's got to deal with the hangry.
Yeah. So we talked about the Chyna thing and see how easy you say differentiate. It's horrible for me. I swear to God. But we talked about the Chyna and Sarah. Okay. So have you had people that are like just wanting to get with you because you look like Chyna?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They'll come in my inbox and I'm like, here we go. It's Chyna was my crush. I'd love to date you.
Oh.
I'm not Chyna, my friend. Like, facially, I might look like her. I'm my own person. I also get the ones that inbox me and they're like, I'd love you to dominate me as Chyna. I'm like, one guy wanted me to use him as a footstool. I was like, no. I could never watch Beauty and the Beast ever again now. I was
gonna say, like, sometimes my feet are hurting. I might just want to put my feet up on someone.
Like guys that want me to stand on them, I would kill you. Do you know how much I weigh?
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Wow.
I'm like, no, I'm not down for that.
Do they want to pay you for it?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm happy to stand on anyone that wants to be paid. Well, wants to pay me, should I say. I'm happy to do that, by the way. I'll even wear my Chyna shirt. I don't know. I don't care. Turns you on, crack on. Where are the trust elements? What do you need to be able to trust a man coming into your life?
Oh, yeah. I know I've got trauma, like trust issues. I know that. Someone's just going to have to be very open, very honest. Like, if I've upset you, tell me. Because sometimes you don't notice if you upset people. Tell me. Communicate. That kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I know I'm going to struggle with the trust for a start because I was so broken before because I was so in love.
What advice would you give to us? So say, you had a guy that's interested in you and a guy that wants to take you out and he wants to not necessarily prove himself, but show you that he is a good guy and that you can trust him. Like, what advice are you going to give to a guy what would you say, do this? If that's what you want, do this. What can they do to win you over almost?
Just be themselves, but I'm not the kind of person that likes clingy. Like, I'm affectionate. I love affection. I don't do clingy. Like, don't get pushy with me. Understand the place I've come from. Understand me as a person. Like, just slow.
Yeah. But for now,
I'm good. I'm quite happy. Like, if you take on me, you're taking on 5 cats and 2 Pomeranians as well. So that's a thing.
I mean, that in itself is a lot.
I'm the local crazy cat lady. I'm literally going to get old and be like the woman off The Simpsons.
You're launching cats at people. Okay, that is a lot. That is a lot to. That's just thrown me massively now because there's the 2 small dogs and just you, huge. So it's like
it's kind of funny because my boy Pomeranian, he's like 2 pounds. He's tiny. So it is amusing.
He looks even smaller.
I pick him up and he looks like a little pebble.
Makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, so a couple more things that I want to go through, and then I've got something fantastic for you. Something that is just going to blow your mind. To be honest, I've really bigged that up now. It's shit. What it is, I want to talk to you, and I ask this to everybody, and this is where I say about passing the crown. What advice are you going to give to the next wannabe Chyna, the next wannabe Sarah, the next who wants to do something that they are passionate about, but maybe are just having that little bit of fear and self-doubt? What advice and wisdom are you passing on to them that you've learned?
The scariest thing is the first step. So I was terrified of going into a gym. That was like my biggest fear. I was like, I don't want to go to a gym. People look at me. If you want to do something, if it's in your heart to do it, first step's always the worst. Take the jump.
Yeah,
Do it.
absolutely.
You won't regret it when you're 80 in the care home. You'll be picking up your social media going, look at me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Annoying the carers.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think it's so, when I chat to people and we talk about what it is that they do, I could chat to people who do a job. I could chat to them and that's fine. But I love to chat to people who do a job that they're passionate about and that it is their absolute, I'll never have anybody here that is not passionate about it. I'll never have somebody that's just trying to make money, that's just a cash scheme. I'll never have somebody that's just going through the motions. I always have people that are so passionate about what it is that they do because they can give that inspiration to the next one of them. And it's not about somebody duplicating who you are.
Yeah.
It's about somebody being able to say, you did it, so I knew I could do it. And as Chyna was a trailblazer and a half who still doesn't get her flowers, who still isn't a single inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame, still, that blows my mind. And I know you're passionate about wanting her to be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm not discrediting anybody that's already in there. Stacey Keebler, Queen Charmel, Tori Wilson. I'm not discrediting any people that are already in there, but it's long overdue.
For what she's done, no one has done since.
Absolutely.
She needs to be in there in her own right. And that was what she wanted when she was alive. Like, that was her wish.
Yeah.
It's too late to give her a wish now, but maybe we can honour her memory by getting her in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. So I'll push for that. I'll push for Chyna, Victoria, Lillian Garcia. Get them in the Hall of Fame, please. Then I'll be happy. That's all I want. Okay, so I've got something that I'm really excited about. I've just said it's shit now. Am I allowed to say shit? Got told off last time for swearing. So I did want to have a little bit of a quiz. Okay. Last time when Nathan and Phoebe were here, they were up against each other in a bodybuilding quiz. Now, the winner won a fantastic Passing the Crown mug. However, because this is a slightly different one, I have an even better prize for you. Not that the Passing the Crown mugs aren't very good, they're amazing, but I've got an even better one for you. So if you win this mug, it's not a mug, if you win this quiz, you will receive the prize of a lifetime. I mean, this is big, guys. This is bigger than a lot of you could ever imagine. You'll win this.
Oh, that's...
Right.
Now you're going to test my memory here.
You will win this Chyna bobblehead. What are these called?
Funko Pops.
Funko Pops. Please don't tell me you've already got this.
No.
That's awesome. Now you've got to really work to get this, okay? Put that there. Right. So the quiz that I had, I've forgotten and left at home, right? However, because I am an avid Chyna fan, right, I feel like I know the answers to the questions that I'm going to ask you, right? I'm going to make it slightly easy for you because you were late to the party, right? So there's a lot of there's 25, 30 years you have to try and remember back to. So I'm going to give you 5 questions and I want you to get 3. If you get 3 straight away, you've won.
I'm going to suck at this. I'm really bad at
Oh, come on. This is going to go in the recycling if you don't win. Right.
You can't put Chyna in the recycling.
Yeah, it will go in the recycling. It will go next to the share doll. It will go in the recycling. Right. So question number 1. Can you name me 3 men that Chyna has tag teamed with?
Eddie Guerrero,
Mm-hmm.
Chris Jericho,
Mm-hmm.
Triple H.
Fantastic. One question, done. See? It's not as difficult as you think, is it? Question 2, slightly more difficult. And it's because I've been re-watching stuff. Question number 2. Who did Chyna turn on the Raw after WrestleMania 2000 to align with Eddie Guerrero?
Oh, jeez.
I only know this because I watched it recently.
I can't remember. I can see it. I cannot remember.
She turned on Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho's going to start here
He's
watching
gonna
this.
he's gonna kick me.
Fuming.
I'll go to the next Fozzy concert. Beat me out.
I'm just going to send this clip to him. Just going, this is what's happened. Okay, question number 3. Who did Chyna defeat at WrestleMania 2001 to win her first and undefeated women's championship? Now, this is easy.
I know, but I'm really bad with names. This is my ADHD.
I can tell you that it was a member of Right to Censor.
See, I can't remember names.
Who did she defeat? What woman did she defeat to win the women's title? She's only won it once.
I honestly can't remember. Like, I am so bad at
Shall I give you a multiple choice? Because I feel like if this goes in the recycling, everyone's
people are going to be like, she's not a Chyna fan. Like, I have bad memory.
Yeah. Was it Molly Holly, Ivory, or Lita?
Was it Lita?
No.
I can't remember.
It was Ivory.
I honestly can't remember. People are going to call me the hell out now.
Oh, I'm running out of questions. I've only got 5 questions. I'm running out of questions. Okay. So, question number 3. Yeah. Question number 3. In her master and slave days, who was Chyna's manager?
Miss Kitty.
Correct.
Or the cat.
The cat. Correct. So it's 2. So you're only going to get one more.
I thought you were going to ask me her actual name then. I was like, don't ask me her actual name.
It is Stacey Carter, but I wasn't going to do that. So, question number 4. You've got 2 questions left to get one more point. Okay. Question number 4. It's a really tough one. I'm trying to think, do I make it this tough?
I'm just going to...
I know, it's really bad, isn't it? Do I make it this tough, or do I just give you a really easy one? Okay. Name me, other than Ivory, name me one female that Chyna has wrestled against.
Trish Stratus.
Correct. That's it now, isn't it? You got 3 questions right.
I think so.
You got 3 questions. She got 3 questions right. Yeah, she got 3 questions right. So you are now the proud recipient of this really hard-earned. I'll be honest, that was hard-earned. Chris Jericho, if you're watching this, I'm not being funny. But well done. There you go.
Thank you.
And she looks so similar to you. Put it up to the camera. Everyone see that you look similar.
It's about the same size as me as well.
Look how similar you look. It's uncanny. But I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for really grafting to win that, because the fans would never have forgiven you if that
Memory is
had
not my strong point. I forget stuff constantly. I'm bad with numbers. I'm bad with names.
Don't worry about it. Chyna only knew about 7 languages, you know.
She was smart. I'm not smart. Like, I forget things all the time.
It's fine. I want to thank you for being here. I have been obsessed with you since I met you, since I've seen you. We can find you on social media at...
So X and Instagram is Chyna Syndrome _ and TikTok is Chyna Syndrome, as is Facebook.
And one more thing, to this fake account that has made Chyna Syndrome. Oh, yeah. We have just told you, here officially is Chyna Syndrome _.
They're impersonating impersonator,
yeah.
which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's almost a lot. It's a lot. So I want to thank you for being here. Sarah / Chyna. I went to call you Chyna then. I am obsessed with you. I want everyone to check out your work on social media, the effort that you put in, the hard work, not only in the gym, not only as Chyna, but as an advocate for all of the rough stuff, the stuff of eating disorders, domestic abuse. You're a trailblazer in yourself. You're an inspiration to so many people. Don't forget that, for God's sake, whatever you do. And I will see you next time, definitely. I promise, because you'll be on with Chris Jericho. Because he'll be kicking off with
Yeah,
you.
he's going to be like putting me in the walls of Jericho for
Yeah.
that one, isn't he?
He's going to put you in the walls
I'm
of
going to make
Jericho.
the list, not in a good way.
Don't now try and remember names. He's got the walls of Jericho. Don't now try and do it. It's too late. It's too late. You couldn't even remember his name 5 minutes ago. But thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. And I will see everybody else next time.